But I think we should start off with CNN. How could we not? Chris Cuomo, an anchor at CNN. For those of you unfamiliar, who is Chris Cuomo? Chris Cuomo would be the unsuccessful Cuomo brother, not the governor, not the rich, famous, popular person. It's the other one. Or as I like to call him, the Fredo of the family. Chris, our boy Chris, Mr. Cuomo, had a bit of a tiff. Got into a little bit of shenanigans just a few days ago. Ran into somebody at an event, and apparently they accidentally called him Fredo to his face, and Chris didn't like that so much. It upset him a bit. Apparently, you can call Chris anything you want, but if you refer to him as a character from The Godfather, he's gonna he's gonna spaz out. He's just gonna flip his shit. Oh, but he's a tough guy. Hey, I'm from the streets of New York over here, Chris Cuomo. Oh, I'm such a gabagoo. I'm such a tough guy. I'll put you in the trash truck. I'm Chris Cuomo. Ugh. So I suppose we can listen to him try his best Tony Soprano impression and fall flat on his fat fucking face. Chris Cuomo trying to act tough is probably the most retarded thing I've ever seen. So how could we not watch that? So I think we'll start that off. We'll start off with that, I should say. Oh, I've got a diamond, but no message attached. Understandable. Understandable. Don't want Chris coming for you. Remember, CNN is a very spiteful news agency. If you make a gift they don't like, they're going to dox you and your family. You need to be taught a lesson. You need to sit down and shut up. CNN is talking now. The first name in news. Oh, that's awfully racist. How can you use the N-word with the hard R? Oh, you're a bigot, Jim. No. I'm just simply referring to it by what Chris Cuomo has come up with. The criteria that Chris Cuomo has come up with, that's how I'm referring it to. Because this isn't the first time that he's equated something to be equal to the N-word. Now, Fredo's one of them. We're going to see how that came about. But let's not forget the gem from the past. Chris's cutting deep insight that if you called a reporter fake news, that was like calling a reporter. So, as far as I see it, calling Chris Cuomo fake news Fredo is basically calling him double news. He doesn't like it very much. So let's take a look at the video. Not very long. This was originally put up on YouTube. YouTube took it down, which is funny because they talk about help me fight YouTube censorship right in the video title. Only reason the video was reinstated, Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out about it and shamed Google into reinstating it. It was pulled down initially for cyberbullying and harassment. I'm not sure how that works out, but we've seen over the past, I'd say, month, anytime that you put up information that's embarrassing to mainstream media or even alt tech or tech in general, they'll pull it down. You saw that with the Veritas project. And I can't even remember what the site was. It was a Pinterest, Instagram. They all bleed together at a certain point. You start to lose interest in what differentiates each of them. But some insight that they were rigging their search results and biasing against Christian content. And when he put up his expose, and them talking about Veritas project. Now, when they put up their expose, that was censored on Twitter, that was censored on Facebook, and that was censored on YouTube. Everywhere they took it down. So not surprising to me that this video that was put up about a CNN anchor was taken down as well. It's reached the point now where you can't even expose a journalist literally threatening to throw somebody down a flight of stairs without being labeled as bullying. You showing the world that a journalist threatened to throw you down the stairs is now considered bullying. Welcome to Clown World. Honk honk. Honk honk, chat. So let's see our tough guy, Mr. Gabagool's over here. Oh, forget about it. Let's see what he's got to say. Oh, Mr. Cuomo, you're so tough. Oh, my little pussy's dripping wet, Mr. Cuomo. You're such a tough guy over here. Here we go. Brace yourself. You're going to love this. You're going to love Mr. Cuomo and his toughness.
You're going to have a fucking problem.
What? What are you going to do about it?
I'll fucking ruin your shit. I'll fucking throw you down these stairs like a fucking punk.
I thought that's who you were.
No, punk-ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. My name is Chris Cuomo. I'm an anchor on CNN. Fredo is from The Godfather. He was that weak brother.
I know it was you, Fredo.
You're
and they
above
use
it?
it as an Italian aspersion. Any of you Italian? Are you Italian?
I got a little
It's a
bit.
fucking insult to your people. It's an insult to your fucking people. It's like the N-word for us. Is that a cool?
It's like the N-word for us. Oh, you can tell. Yeah, I want to come up with a new term, a new definition, a new phrase to explain what I'm watching here with Mr. Gabagools, our boy Fake News Fredo. I want to call it. I don't know what I want to call it. It's here. I'll explain to you what it is, and you come up with a clever term for it. It's what happens when a white guy, particularly around really hardcore, politically correct liberals, desperately wants to be a victim, but has nothing that will allow him to be one. And so they search to latch on to something that will give them those victim points that, oh, it's so delicious. Oh, those minorities, they've got those delicious victim points. Oh, look at the women. Oh, yeah. I want to be like the black guy. I want to get offended by the N-word. So Chris is going stir crazy at CNN. He's going absolutely bonkers. Just cuckoo. Desperate to get that victim point. And here it is. He's going to latch on to Fredo and say it's the same as the N-word. It's kind of stunning, really. If any other news anchor from Fox News, could you imagine if Tucker Carlson tried this? How could you? Can you imagine if somebody said, "Hey Tucker, you're a waspy motherfucker." Yeah, that's why you're a wasp. And he was like, "How dare you say that about me? That's like calling me the N-word." Oh, liberals would be just enraged. How could you? How could you equate that insult to slavery? How could you equate that word to the N-word? You're disrespecting slavery and the struggle of the black man. And yet here's Chris Cuomo getting upset because somebody called him a Godfather character and equating it to slavery because he's gone just a rat in this shithouse crazy. Desperate to emulate and to enjoy what he sees around him, but he can't because he's a white dude. And there's just nothing for him to latch onto. I don't know what the term would be. Come up with something. I'm sure there's something clever. You can think of something clever, but that is what we're watching. Chris is desperate to latch onto something for those victim points, but at the end of the day, he's just a goofy Italian fuck, and he gets really upset when you remind him his brother's more successful.
Fucking thing.
You're a much more reasonable guy in person than you seem to be on television.
Yeah, but if you want to play, then we'll fucking play. If you've got something you want to say about what I do on television, then say it. But don't call me a
Hey
fucking
man,
insult.
hey, listen.
What?
I don't want any problems.
Yeah, you're gonna have a big fucking problem.
What's the
It's a
problem?
little different on TV. Don't fucking insult me like that.
I didn't insult you.
The
I
fuck
asked
you call me Fredo? It's like
I also love how there's almost stereotypical Italian music in the background, and they've got vines and shit all over this tent. They filmed this in a fucking Olive Garden. Hey, it's Italian American Heritage Day. Let's go to the Olive Garden and have authentic food. I'm Chris Cuomo. Oh, I'll stick you in a garbage truck.
I call you punk bitch. You like that? You want that to be your nickname?
I didn't call you that.
You called me Fredo. You know my name's not fucking
I
Fredo.
thought your name was.
You did not think my name was fucking Fredo. Don't be a liar.
I thought your name
You want to
was.
be a man, stand up like a man.
I'm standing up, man.
You want to be a man, I'm
Yeah,
here.
I'm standing
Then
up.
fucking own it. Then own what you
Listen,
said.
man, hey.
Then own what you said.
Listen, man, I don't have a problem with you, man.
Yeah, you're going to have a fucking problem.
What? What are you gonna do about it?
I'll fucking ruin
Do
your
something
shit.
then.
I'll
Do
fucking
something.
throw you down these stairs like a fucking punk.
Please do.
Why, so
Come on,
you
you
can
don't wanna
fucking
do
sue?
that.
Oh, see that right there? I think that's that toxic masculinity. Hasn't CNN done at least 300 or 400 specials on that? And on angry white men? In fact, I'm pretty certain if you were to go on CNN's Twitter feed or their website and look up the term angry white man, you're probably going to find at least over double digits, almost triple digits, articles and coverage covering that topic. And yet here's one of their own, an angry white man, threatening to throw somebody down a flight of stairs because they called him Fredo. Because they called him Fredo. He's trying so hard to be tough. And it's not really working. The guy talking to him hasn't really run away. His voice isn't quivering. I mean, you have to remember Chris Cuomo, this is shot at a weird angle. Chris Cuomo, I believe, is 4'8". If you put Chris Cuomo and Ben Shapiro side by side, you'd think they're twins. I'm saying he's a manlet. He's an itty bitty guy. Itty bitty Guido. They used to call him the Wonder Wop because you wonder where he is. I can smell him, but I can't see him. Oh, look down. There's Chris Cuomo. Hey, Fredo. How you doing?
You don't want
So you
to
can fucking sue?
Well, why don't you do it?
Go
then?
take a swing. You want to call me Fredo? Take a fucking swing.
I'm not gonna swing
Take
at
a
you.
fucking swing. Watch your fucking hands. Take a swing. Watch your fucking hands. Take a swing. No, come on, boy. Come on, boy. So you want to call me shit? Call me shit then.
Hey, listen, man.
I'm right
I'm
fucking
not
here.
doing anything.
I'll fucking wreck your shit. I'll fucking wreck your shit.
Stop.
You didn't know what you were doing when
I
you
thought
called
it
me
was your
Fredo?
name, man. I thought it was your name.
You didn't know, right?
Did you hear how angry I want to back it up because that's the funniest part. Look at he's got those crazy eyes going. You see how tough I am over here behind these three guys? Oh, if my friends weren't here, I'd be hurting you. Oh, you're lucky they're holding me back. I'm Chris Cuomo. Oh, international street fighter. You got the ghouls. he's got the craziest look in his eyes. But you can hear, he gets real. There's a visceral anger. There's a visceral anger as he's being held back by 18 people. Let's see if we capture it again.
Stop.
You didn't know what you were doing when
I
you
thought
called
it
me
was your
Fredo?
name, man. I thought it.
You know now. He almost sounds like, you know who he sounds like? Oh, okay. What was he? There was a television show from the 80s or 90s where there's a Tony. It was an Italian guy who's like a maid. It was a male maid. Alyssa Milano played his daughter. The way he screams there sounds like that character Tony. Angela! Just compare it. Somebody could clip that and compare it to Tony going, Angela!
What you were doing when
I
you
thought
called
it
me
was your
Fredo?
name, man. I thought it
You know now. Angela! Where's Alyssa?
was your name.
You didn't know, right? Hey, you didn't know what you were saying, right?
I thought it was his name.
I'm breaking it up. Here's a little intrigue. I wanted to be like Wonder Woman, and I'm going to wear a shirt that says it.
Chris! By the way, God bless whoever edited this video. That was the perfect ending to it, I'll be honest with you. I bet you wanted to be like Wonder Woman. Chris, I bet that's what you wanted to be like. Oh, what a guy. Oh, hey, I'm angry over Chris Cuomo. So this video comes out of Chris just acting just fucking ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Chris Cuomo, oh, he's so tough. Oh, I'm a tough guy. Fredo is the N-word. The vice president of CNN, actually defends him. Can you believe that? The fucking VP. I want to make sure I get the guy's name right. Hopefully he didn't take the fucking thing down. Matt Dornick. Matt Dornick, if you're unaware, is the vice president at CNN. Responded to Donald Trump Jr. making fun of Chris Cuomo and said, Chris Cuomo defended himself when he was verbally attacked with the use of an ethnic slur and an orchestrated setup. We completely support him. An ethnic slur. VP of fucking CNN saying, calling somebody fucking Fredo is an ethnic slur. I've known a lot of Italians. I don't think any of them have ever gotten upset with somebody using the name Fredo. In fact, I think a few of them might have been named Fredo. Has anybody told the Italians that what they're naming their children is an ethnic slur? I'm pretty sure I've never met a black dude I've met some Italians named Fredo. I don't know how CNN's going to exactly explain that one away. Maybe they've got better insight into this than I do. An ethnic slur. VP of CNN. Oh, Twitter had fun with this. Social media in general did. Because it's stupid. It's just ridiculous. Chris Cuomo is a moron. An ethnic slur. He pulled that right out of his ass. Now, people did some digging. Again, because remember, this is an ethnic slur, and CNN, the vice president, has made a statement. We won't tolerate that. Not here at glorious CNN. We have standards. We're not gonna let your racism on our airwaves. We don't tolerate that around here. Y'all need to get going, bigots. Except for the fact that apparently Fredo has been used on CNN repeatedly. It's been used on his fucking channel. Chris Cuomo doing shows, people have used Fredo as an insult, and he sat there smiling. I'm confused. The vice president's telling me it's an ethnic slur, and they're airing it on the fucking airwaves? So people put together a little compilation of all the times Fredo's come up. One of them, I'm sure you remember, our boy, Rick Wilson. If you don't, he's the guy that likes to dress up like a Jedi. You can see Anderson Cooper taking a moment in between sucking dicks. We'll get to sucking dicks, by the way. This image, it's a twofer. I like to call it a twofer when it comes to CNN because we're going from the Fredo story into something else, and it involves Don Lemon. But we'll get to that in a moment. No, we're talking about Anderson. Anderson has Rick Wilson on, and Rick has taken a break from his live-action role-playing as Obi-Wan Nobody Gives a Shit, who still watches Star Wars, except for fucking Rick Wilson. The only reason he's into Star Wars is his wife is so goddamn fat she can cosplay as Jabba. He's got an excuse. She's just dedicated to the role. It's method acting. Don't tell me my wife is fat. She just really loves those fucking movies. So let's listen to Rick here explain it.
It's absolutely part of this. All the forces of society are arrayed against us. It's just us and Donald Trump against the world. And look, Devin Nunes is proving himself again and again to be the Fredo of the Republican Party. This guy has made a huge mistake doing this, and the fact is,
not sure exactly what's going on. Anderson's got a little bit of an uncomfortable look on his face. I don't think that's because of the ethnic slur. I think he's merely just readjusting his anal beads. If you're unfamiliar, Anderson Cooper's gay. Spoiler alerts. A lot of gay men at CNN. I wonder if Don Lemon ever tried to pressure Anderson Cooper into gay sex. Hopefully that comes out in the civil suit. I'm getting too ahead of myself right now. So, the Fredo of the Republican Party. Okay, well that's just one guy. All right, that's not necessarily. Hey, it's not necessarily damaging. I believe somebody. Okay, is this the one where the guy somebody put together a compilation clip of him getting angry about Fredo, and then people saying Fredo around him? I believe this is the one. There's lots of stuff out there. I believe this is the one. So let's take a look at this. Again, remember, ethnic slur, CNN, the vice president, everybody's very upset about it. Very triggering. Very upsetting.
Punk-ass bitches from the right call me Fredo. It's like the N-word for us. Is that a cool fucking thing?
Daddy kept Fredo back home, so who cares what Donald Trump Jr. says?
look, Devin Nunes is proving himself again and again to be the Fredo of the Republican Party.
It's like the N-word for us.
It's like, look at his face. Oh, this guy has a complex. I'm just going to put this out here. He's not upset because Fredo's the N-word for Italians. It's not. That's retarded. He's upset because he doesn't want to be reminded that he is the less successful brother. Because that's what he is. That's what made him angry. That's why it gets under his skin. And the amount of replies to this motherfucker, nonstop. People calling him Fredo, nonstop. You know it eventually. There's going to be a point where he's going to go on a spree killing. If you keep calling him Fredo, he's eventually going to go out there and just start murdering people. Not going to be able to handle it. Now, strangely, people in the mainstream media stick up for their own. I don't think anybody's really surprised about that. Sean Hannity giving his hot take on it. I say good for Chris Cuomo. He's out with his 9-year-old daughter, his wife, and this guy's being a jackass in front of his family. In my honest opinion, Cuomo has zero to apologize for. He deserves the apology. Can we get some thoughts and prayers in chat? Can I get a T and P in chat, please, for Sean Hannity? He's obviously suffered brain damage. Must have been tragic. Maybe he drowned himself in his own swimming pool at his mansion. I'm not sure. But I can only explain such a hot take with some kind of blunt force trauma to the head. He's out with his 9-year-old daughter and wife. He deserves the apology. So this teachable moment brought to us by Chris Cuomo. When somebody misidentifies you and uses the wrong name, calls you a character from a movie, threatened to ruin them and throw them down a flight of stairs. Honey, this is how adults interact. Watch your daddy. As he as he goes Tony Soprano on some random guy and threatens to kick his ass because he called him Fredo. Ridiculous. Sean, ridiculous. The news media, it's full of handicapped people. I can't think of any other way to explain it. Now, as if it wasn't bad enough. As if it wasn't bad enough for our little boy Chris. Of course. Give it about, I'd say 4 or 5 hours. This was trending for goddamn near an entire day. People were calling him Fredo so much in his fucking replies. It trended #1 in the U.S. and worldwide for damn near a day. But give it till the morning. And of course, here comes Trump. Trump was super understanding. Felt very bad for our boy Fredo. I thought Chris was Fredo also. The truth hurts. Totally lost it. Low ratings at CNN. Just twist that knife in. Oh, he hates CNN. I don't blame him. This I can agree with Trump. CNN is shit. And you just know that pissed fucking Fredo off. Like nothing. Oh, just getting shit on by the President of the United States takes time out of his morning to call you the loser brother from The Godfather. And then he shits on your ratings after everybody else spent the entire evening shitting on you for being a fucking moron. And yet all your boys in the news media coming out to defend you. Now, if I want to make sure I remember this, I want us to take a little journey and take a look at Chris Cuomo. I'm certain there should still be articles up about this. Oh, Chris. Oh, yeah, from Business Insider. Okay, here we go. Oh, no thanks. Oh, God. Business Insider, you're killing me here. Why are you being so terrible to me, Business Insider? One moment, chat. I'm going to have to go for an archived version, of course. Can't read any. Is anybody else annoyed by that? I mean, I can't be the only one. I can't imagine that I would be the only one that gets annoyed by the fact that anytime you see a news site nowadays write about something, you're thinking, okay, I want to look up a news topic. I'm going to go to the site. Now, sure, you're used to dealing with advertisements. Advertisements are annoying. But now when you go to these fucking news sites, a CNBC, a Business Insider, a Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, it doesn't really matter what it is. You're immediately locked out. They're either demanding that you pay them money immediately to read the article. Well, first off, I look at news like I look at a grocery store. If I can't see the produce in front of me, can't put my fucking hands on it, can't give those tomatoes a squeeze, make sure they're not vile and decrepit, saturated with pesticides, I'm not going to pay you money for that. I don't even know what you wrote. You got to let me read some shit first if you want me to pay you money. How do I know you're any good at what you're doing? For all I know, you could be the worst fucking news site on earth, but I'm never going to know now because I'm not going to go to your fucking website and get strong-armed because I need to look up an article about, I don't know, fish exploding in San Francisco. And you're the one of only 3 assholes that wrote about it. Fuck you. But it seems to be pretty common. Luckily, archive.is or any of the other iterations just cuts to the bullshit. Fuck these guys. Just go to archive. Can't do shit about that, can you? Oh, it makes you mad, doesn't it, news? That you can't do anything about it. But nonetheless, this comes from Business Insider. Chris, this isn't the first time that he's done this. Complained about something being the equivalent of the N-word, again, in his quest to be offended. Be treated like a protected minority, Chris is always seeking something to justify his liberal angst. Today was not today, but a few days ago, it was people calling him Fredo. Before that, it was fake news. Very upset about fake news. Again, this is from Business Insider from 2017. CNN host Chris Cuomo says fake news insult is the equivalent of the N-word for journalists. Sound familiar to you? CNN host Chris Cuomo said on Thursday that he believes hurling the fake news insult at journalists is similar to when people use racial slurs against minorities. Chris with the hottest of hot takes, really. I see being called fake news is the equivalent of the N-word for journalists, Cuomo said. The equivalent of calling... Oh, here we go. The equivalent of calling an Italian any of the ugly words that people have for that ethnicity. See how he ties it back in? Oh, he wants to be a victim so bad. He wants to be a victim so excellent show. I'm not used to Italian hate. I don't think I've ever really seen it. You're not impressed, brother. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. You're barking up the wrong tree, Chris. Your pasta's delicious. We can't hate you for that. That's what fake news is to a journalist, the CNN host continued. It's an ugly insult, and you'd better be right if you're going to charge a journalist with lying on purpose. Earlier in the day, Cuomo said being called fake news was like an ethnic disparagement. But he didn't at the time compare it to the N-word. No, he waited till later on to do that. And then within hours, of course, I'm sure somebody at CNN, probably Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper, took a break from their popper-induced gay gangbang to say, wait a minute, you can't say that, Chris. Because an update just a few hours later, apologized on Twitter. I was wrong, calling a journalist fake nothing compared to the pain of a racial slur. I should not have said it. I apologize. So he's prepared. If you think for a moment that Chris Cuomo wasn't looking for an end, he was. He waited 2 fucking years for somebody, just somebody, to take a swing at him. And he latched on to Fredo. That was going to be his thing.